Welcome back to Wealth Principle number 20. This is the 52 weeks to wealth. We've been on this journey now for 20 weeks. We obviously did it last year, so add another 52 to it. So if you've been following the entire time, it's 72 weeks, but there are only 52 wealth principles. We've broken them out from some of the major principles, some of those being think a million, build a business that makes a million, and today's wealth principle, apply the 10X rule to your planning. Many of these wealth principles are not created by me. In fact, none of them were created by me. I simply read over 350 books and digested the best principles. Many books start off saying that there's 17 keys to success, or there's 7 principles of highly effective people, or some will just say there's only one rule, only one thing you need to know. In fact, the author of the 10X rule, which Mike Stein will be talking about later on, Grant Cardone, says there's only one rule you need to know, and that's 10X. I have to disagree because all of the rules combine together, work together so that you can have massive success. The 10X rule is simply a planning rule. So I don't want to take away from the 10X rule. I do want to teach you the process and how to use it properly. But without the other principles, setting big goals doesn't get anything done. Hands to the camera if you recognize that is true. It takes more than just setting a goal to be successful. It takes more than just wanting it. It takes more than just big pie in the sky dreams. The 10X rule is based on setting a large goal. So pull out a pen and paper, and I want you to write down your current goal, whatever it is. My current goal when I started, while you're writing this down, you can just listen to this story, was 40 units. I thought I wanted 40 units. I thought I wanted to have them all owned by myself, and I thought I wanted to manage them myself. My dream, when I started this, I wrote this goal down in 2015, right after the divorce, right after I'd lost all my money and lost my job. And I started really like getting back to my roots and saying, okay, like let's just assume I'm a fresh slate. I'm starting over and I could do whatever I want. What's the dream job for me? My dream job at the time was 40 units, self-managed, where I managed everything with no partners, and I would be cash flowing. This was my number, $10,000 a month. That was my initial dream, my initial goal. And then over time, I realized that was a very small goal. I should have set it much higher. I should have aimed at much bigger goals and much bigger things. And so I shifted into partnerships. I shifted into a larger goal, and that larger goal was 400 units. Originally, I was a unit-based person. And I do want to share with you, since we're talking, that unit-based goals suck. They're the worst goals you could possibly make. If you're writing one right now, I apologize. I should have said it sooner, because unit-based goals don't actually affect your cash flow. They don't actually affect your income. It has no regard on whether you're making money or losing money. If you go after a unit-based goal, you could actually be losing money every single month. Hands to the camera if you've ever heard of people being negative cash flow because they went after units, not cash flow. It's very true. A lot of the syndications and the guys I know, I look at their accounting and their performance and what they're looking at going to create for themselves. In year 1, they lose. Year 2, they lose. Year 3, they break even. Year 4, they do a refinance, and that's where they made money. Was the refinance not necessarily from cash flow on the property? Some of these syndicators have 5 years out but they've got big units. They got 400 units. They got 1,000 units. And 5 years out, they still haven't cash flowed any money. They made their money off of a refinance or off of the sale of the property. That business does work, and that model does work. And I can't knock that they've been very successful. In fact, many of them are good friends of mine. I've interviewed them on the podcast. But at the end of the day, in a market where there's a good chance of a correction, it's a risky prospect. It's a risky decision to just go after appreciation. Hands to the camera if you recognize that story rings true. I want to break it apart. At first, I thought that I wanted to self-manage. And then I got to 22 units and I realized I don't like self-managing. I don't like having all of these units and these tenants. And I started to self-sabotage because I wanted to self-manage. I started to self-sabotage. I started to sell off some of my units. I started to flip some property. And over time, my portfolio started shrinking in size. And it wasn't until I brought a partner on where the portfolio started going back up in size again, because we brought on an assistant to manage the portfolio. And from that point, we were able to get up to 42 units. And again, we started to have issues. We ended up losing our property manager, and we said, hey, we need to start pulling back on this portfolio because we were self-managing again. And then we went into a new property management team, and then a second property management team, and then a third property management team. And it wasn't, well, actually, it was an assistant and then two property managers. And once we got to the third one, we realized it's not been that real estate is tough. It's just been we had the wrong manager. And once we got a good manager, we said, let's explode. Let's take this to the next level. Let's keep growing. So setting small goals in the beginning and setting goals that include you working. By the way, hands to the camera if any of your goals include you being involved in the business. And it's okay to raise your hand. Like I just told a story where mine did. Yes. So that's all right. But it's not a really good place to make a goal. It's not a really good place to start a business. I want you to rewrite your goal with a plan for 10x, not units or size of company, 10x your income and 10x, or remove yourself from the company. It's 10x your income with you completely out of the business. And the reason I say this is because a business that needs you is not a business, it's a job. A business that needs you is a job. It is a prison cell. It is four walls. You can be a great person in your business. You can have a great position in your business, but you don't want to be necessary in your business. Write this down. If you're a cog in the wheel, you're a clog in the wheel. If you're a cog in the machine, you're clogging the machine. Hands to the camera if you recognize you've been the weakest point in your company thus far. Yes, the irony, I get it. The irony is you've also been the strongest point in your company. Nobody cares about your company more than you. Nobody's doing all the work except for you. Nobody grinds or works more hours than you do. I understand that, but at the same time, that should be temporary. Hands to the camera if you want it to be temporary. The only way to do that is to set 10x rules, 10x goals. So in your business, you want to set a 10x for how many people you're paying, how many loans you have, how much money you have lent out. Ron and I were just joking about a deal my brother's doing. His mortgage is $6,500. And Ron's first comment was, that's it? Small numbers. You got to pump those numbers up, bro. That's just the beginning of investing. If your mortgage is only $1 million and you're only paying $6,500, that's a pretty light mortgage. That's a pretty small investment. But if it's your first mortgage, that feels big. Hands to the camera if you recognize $1 million loan up front would seem like a lot of money. Yeah, it's perception. He's also bringing in his rent roll $20,000 a month. Hands to the camera if you would love $1 million mortgage for $20,000 a month. That's not all profit. It's not all cash flow, but he'll still make somewhere around $4,000 or $5,000 in his first month. In month one, deals like that still do exist, but it came from setting a bigger goal. Initially, he was saying, I want to buy a 3-family and get started. I kept telling him no, kept telling him no. And then eventually he couldn't finance a 3-family. He got to the point where he could not finance a 3-family. And he said, I actually was selling him one of mine, put it under agreement for him. He couldn't finance it. And he was like, I guess I can't buy real estate. And I told him, Josh, no, now you have to buy something bigger. The only way you could buy real estate if you don't have income is to buy something bigger. You need to go and partner with somebody and buy a bigger deal. And so Josh started hunting for bigger deals. He started going to where the blood was, where there was blood in the water, where other investors were struggling with their properties. And he went after a commercial property, which is something that he understands better because he is a commercial tenant. He takes up currently 10,000 square feet in a mill. So he went after a mill that was struggling, that had the entire second floor vacant. Josh said, I could take the entire second floor, and I have other partners who would love to take the rest of it, a dance studio, fitness instructors. He's got people who could fill that space, who are doing great with their business and want more space. Hands to the camera if you recognize there's an opportunity if you know how to leverage a building differently from other people. Absolutely. So he set his goal bigger. He set his goal bigger on cash flow. Originally at that 3-family, he was looking to make maybe $1,000 a month. With this, he's looking to make $2,000 to $4,000 a month, 10x in goals. And after the call yesterday, I told him, I was like, Josh, this is nice. It's a good start, but I'd really like to see you owning 10 of these. I'd like to see you owning 100 of these. Could you see yourself doing that? And he'd gotten himself so psyched up that he was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Once you get out of the fear state of mind, suddenly you can do things. You can get more excited about the things you're doing. So you wrote down a 10x plan, or not a 10x plan, but a 10x goal. Hands to the camera if you wrote down a goal that was 10 times bigger than your original goal. Excellent. Excellent. Hands to the camera if you wrote down without you needed. Yes. So my original plan, once I gone to this coach and been through this training, was GNN, Gwalter not needed. And I realized that I had written that wrong. It shouldn't be GNN or Gwalter not needed. It should be, because by the way, I built a really nice business. I was pulling in 10, 15,000 a month and I was needed. I was still needed. Now I found out was I moved to Vegas and I was living out there for 3 months, and the income of the business slowly was notching down. It would go from 15,000 a month to 12,000 a month to 10,000 a month to 8,000 a month. And it was slowly notching down while I was gone. I said, man, I got to get back. It needs me. Hands to the camera if you know you don't want to build that business. That's right. That's right. So we don't want it to need you. So set the goal of, I bring in 10x, whatever the goal was originally, 10x in income with me doing what I love. Doing what I love, whether it's traveling. For me, it's teaching and training and speaking and creating videos and spending time with my friends, spending time with quality people who are high net worth, who are thinking about growing other businesses, thinking about other investments. I love talking about investment. That's me personally. Hands to the camera if you like financial freedom, if you like the idea of traveling more, if you like the idea of hanging out with different types of people or spending more time with your family. Who would love, an extra 40 hours a week to spend with your family? Awesome. Awesome. Some of you just have to say that, but, but some of you genuinely do mean it. And being able to spend more time with family is why making money makes sense. The mentorship came with something very special. Hands to the camera if you're in the mentorship or you graduated already. Graduate, excellent, excellent. Give our graduates a round of applause. Everybody who's been through the mentorship, you paid the $1,200, the $1,000. Some of you got in at a steep discount. You paid, you put in the time, then you put in the 8 weeks. You talked to the coaches. You went through the process. You read the books. Hands to the camera if you read a book a week. Yes, yes. So everybody in the mentorship operates a little bit differently from the people outside of the mentorship. Now we open this 52 weeks to everybody, but the people in the mentorship understand the 52 weeks a little bit differently. Hands to the camera if you agree, you have a more intimate understanding of what we're doing here, thanks to the mentorship. Awesome. Excellent. So for every one of you, as a reminder, when you signed up for the mentorship, you also signed up for our 3-day event in Orlando, the 100 Millionaires Summit, which is coming up. Put it on your calendar. It is October 22nd to the 24th. This is a $3,000 event that you already paid for when you signed up for the mentorship. Give yourselves a round of applause for being smart. The people who take action early get more. When a company is just starting out, when things are just starting out, and it's going to be 10 times bigger, take action now, jump in quickly, because the people who take action end up with more stuff. They get more free things. Hands to the camera if you recognize you've seen me more than the people who jump in the mentorship in the future will see me. Yes, of course. You've gotten more one-on-one time with me. You've got more coaching time with me. You've got more time in every single aspect of this business because you've been in during the beta test, while we were building it, while we were improving it. So you're very smart people. The goals are 10x. The goals are 10x. I said, I want to build 100 millionaires. And then I said, what's 10x of that? And I said 1,000 millionaires. But I knew that 100 was going to be hard in the beginning, but as we've walked towards it, it's gotten easier and more difficult. This is what happens when you set 10x plans. As you start moving towards them, you realize I'm not doing nearly enough energy. I'm not doing nearly enough activity, right? We talk about the bullet train of action with Terry Wager and Christine all the time. And sometimes you're just not doing enough. The goal is not good enough to get you motivated. So you need 10x planning. And you won't know whether your plan is good until you start implementing it, until you start taking action on your plan. So the first step is obviously write your goal of what you want, then 10x it, and then start thinking about what would I have to do to go and hit that 10x goal, and then start taking action. It is useless without action. A plan is useless without action. Obviously, mindset comes into play, and we're going to talk about mindset later on at the massive passive income, multifamily income training, which is starting, by the way, at 12 p.m. So everybody who is in that, make sure you get some food. I have scheduled it super tight, super tight day, because there's a lot of information, and the only way for me to get past some of the points that my millionaire friends asked me to teach, Mike Shine, is that we're going to have to really do some physical work. We're going to have to do some mental labor. And so that stuff is time consuming. And we're going to be doing actual pitching live with each other to make sure we can get our confidence up when talking with investors. Hands to the camera if you know this is a valuable training. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yes. So be prepared. I did my best to keep it as short as I possibly could, which didn't turn out to be very short. So it's going to be an intensive training. And fortunately, that's what I pre-framed you with, that it would be a long day, a long 2 days, but it will be valuable, a valuable 2 days. So when it comes to investing in real estate, there's the goals you have to set, that 10x goal, and it has to be followed by a 10x plan, a 10x plan of action. And there's a lot of numbers involved with that action. This really is, investing in business is a numbers game. So if you want 10 units, aim at 100. That now means you're gonna have to raise more capital. It means you're gonna have to build more relationships. It means you're gonna have to find more deals. If after a month, a month has gone by and you've closed no deals, you may have to increase your energy level. You may have to increase your action level. Hands to the camera if you recognize that's true. Excellent. Personal example, when I started the dream for 100 millionaires, I thought I could do it on my own. I thought it was going to be referrals. I honestly thought that I was going to just teach people, inspire them, help them build their wealth, and then they were going to bring in 10 friends. I thought everybody was just going to bring in 10 friends and blow this thing up, but that didn't work out. So my energy level was too low. My goal was too soft, or my plan was too soft. Now we're looking at ad spend, which is a whole other animal. It's a piece I've never had to deal with before. I used to do ads, but mostly just for branding's sake, not for actual conversion. And so now we're doing it for conversion to bring people into the funnel. There's a whole other level of cost that's associated with that, a whole other level of knowledge and information. So we had to bring partners in who are brand experts, who are funnel experts, who are web developers, who are writing a lot of blog posts to bring in more information, writing copy for us. There is a lot of information that goes with this goal, but I'm doing it now because we're running out of year. Hands to the camera if you recognize you're running out of year. There's less year at this point. There's less year at this point than there was 12 days ago. 12 days ago, you were at the break-even point. In January, you started, you said, hey, I'm going to go hit this goal. And 6 months went by and you have not hit that goal. Hands to the camera if you haven't hit your goal yet. If you haven't hit your 2021 goal yet. Excellent. I love the honesty. I love the honesty. 2 steps. 1, increase your action. 2, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan with increased action. Sometimes it goes like this. Success is a U-curve. It is not a straight line. It is not a straight line. It is not, I slowly make progress and it's visible. Income just keeps going up every month. It goes like this. And you may just in those last 2-3 months hit that piece that pops off and everything starts flowing in. Grant Cardone talks about increments and surges. This business is like that. Whatever business you're in, by the way, they're all the same. They're all about increasing your marketing, then your sales, then your marketing, then your sales, then your marketing, and your sales, and your follow-up, and your follow-up, and your follow-up. All the money's in the follow-up. 10x your follow-up. 10x, how many more emails are you sending out? How many more phone calls, touches are you making? How many texts are you making? How many messages on Facebook or comments or on Bigger Pockets? By the way, I'm not perfect. I dropped the ball. Is it okay if I share my dropping of the ball? Is anybody interested? Yeah. Wow, you guys, wow. Can we just imagine that I always do everything right? I'd rather just stay in that world. So my mistake was not following up on bigger pockets. I taught a training on bigger pockets. I said, hey, this is how you find more deals, find more leads, go out and do this contact. And I did it live. And I think I only did about 10 to 15 minutes of live lead generation on bigger pockets. And then I did absolutely nothing with it. Have not logged into bigger pockets in 6 months. And so last night, me and Doreen were out at a bar having salads, and I had a Red Bull, and I believe Dorina had a beer. And I said, babe, when was the last time you logged into bigger pockets? Is anybody checking that for me? Because I know sometimes some people do check my messages for me and respond to things like Meetup. And she said, I haven't logged in myself. And so I went and I logged in, and I had 14 missed messages, 3 of which were asking me to be their mentor, and the other 11 were asking me to be their real estate agent. Hands to the camera if you know there's leads out there that you're not getting. Yes. Yes. There are deals out there that you're missing opportunities on because you're not following up. I'm a victim of my own my own failure, right? But it's the lesson. And I want you to understand the lesson. I want to share the lesson with you, because even my mistakes can become tools. Even your mistakes can become tools when you're teaching other people, or when you're reminding yourself, remember that time you lost 14 leads. Now, I don't know that I lost them. I messaged everybody last night. It took me about 15 minutes, messaged everybody last night, invited them to this call, invited them to Elizabeth and Kevin's wholesaling bootcamp call and Brett Reed's call on Wednesday nights. So who knows? Maybe there's an opportunity. And by the way, Chris Bazillion, I invited them to South Coast Real Estate Investors meetups. Some of them were asking for live events. And so I have, the ability to go back and reach out, but who knows? A 6-month lead is probably not coming back. 6 months ago. Yes. So it's important. It's important to follow up. And then I thought about it. I thought about it very carefully. I want you to think about it. If I had followed up very quickly and then gone back and done that same lead gen activity, which, by the way, all I did was message people on Facebook, on Bigger Pockets. All I did was reach out and say, hey, what is your investment strategy? Simple question, right? Literally a couple of words. Hey, what is your investment strategy? And I immediately got responses. I didn't check, but I immediately got responses. So imagine if I did that to 40 people or 100 people or 200 people. Imagine if I did 20 people a day. Just went through Bigger Pockets, 20 people a day. And I said, hey, what's your investment strategy? Hey, what have you been working on? How's investing going for you? Any one of those sentences, a killer sentence, somebody at Bigger Pockets. Hands to the camera if you recognize that's true. Like if somebody messaged you that, you'd be like, oh, this is what I do. Right? I've been wholesaling. I've been buying rental properties. I've been flipping deals. Oh, I've been going to these trainings. I'm still new. I'm learning things. Like you would respond. If somebody messaged you on Bigger Pockets with any one of those questions, you'd respond. Hands to the camera if that's true. So will your future partners, clients, lenders, deal finders, agents, wholesalers. Everybody that you want to work with is on Bigger Pockets. If you're not on there messaging them, you're missing out on opportunities. Hands to the camera if you recognize that sobering fact. 10x your goals. 10x your goals, and then 10x your action. 10x your goals, and then 10x your action. The plan is great, and the plan does help you think bigger. By the way, setting bigger goals, when I set the goal for $1 billion company, it made me think differently. I realized I can't do this by myself. Immediately, within a year, Ron and I started selling shares in our company. Immediately, within a year, we said, you know what? This is how I get to $1 billion company. It was not an easy conversation to have, because he and I had always said, it's us. We get to keep all of it. The pie, we get the whole pie, all the slices, right? The world is a kitchen. We made our own pie. We're going to keep the pie. Hands to the camera if you recognize the world's a kitchen. You don't need just a slice. You can make your own pie. That came from Ron. By the way, let's give Ron a round of applause. Man, a few words, but when he does speak, I listen. Very, very smart person. He's also been quoted for saying that my mind is like a steel trap. Anything that goes in gets mangled. Sometimes true. If you've ever heard me say something in reverse or slip my words, has anybody ever caught one of my mistakes? Excellent. Yes, I'm just human. It's okay. It's okay to be imperfect as long as you take action on what you want to accomplish. as long as you move forward, no matter what, whether people laugh at you, whether people judge you for your statements, whether you make fun of other people and they don't like it and they take it personally instead of taking it as an opportunity to grow and change, which by the way, I'm constantly making fun of Mitch Jorsky with love. I do it with love because he's from New York and he's got thick skin. But he came out with this brand of scaredy cat. And I was like, bro, you're the courageous cat. Like you're the toughest person I know. Courageous, doing all these deals, putting your name out there, putting, writing books. There's so much judgment when you write a book and you're on podcasts. Courageous cat. But I still make fun of him for being a scaredy cat, for knowing the right moves to make in crypto and then not making them, but allowing me and Mike to make those moves. Which, let's give Mitch Jorsky a round of applause. He's made us a lot of money. Truly has. He's like the oracle of crypto. He calls something. He called Bitcoin's drop. He literally called Bitcoin's drop. He said it's going to hit 34,000. He says it's going to hit 30,000. Even right now, he's like, watch the $30,000 mark. Watch the $30,000 mark. If it does something, we'll know. Surround yourself with 10 times better friends. Friends who are 10 times better than you are at something. Terry and Christine, man, they crush the coaching world. They crush the mindset, emotional intelligence, right? They understand it. I've learned so much from hanging out with them. Doug in speaking, who was at Mission to Millions? Who was at Mission to Millions and watched Doug speak? I was blown away. I knew he was good. I knew he was talented. I knew he and I could talk the talk of stage speaking, but he blew me away. 10 times better than me, hands down. Ryan McDermott. I go to Ryan McDermott for advice. When our investors ask me questions, I'm like, let me talk to Ryan. He understands these financial instruments better than I do. Mike Shine on partnerships. I don't have all the answers, but I do have people smarter than me in my circle, in my mastermind, right there where I can reach out to him. Mike Shine is a king of partnerships. All of his business has been partnerships. In fact, he's an attorney, right? So he knows the legal side of the partnerships. Hands to the camera if you recognize our coaches are extremely talented men and women, extremely talented individuals. I was having a call with one of my students yesterday, Melanie Santos, and we were going through her business, which, by the way, she's 10xing. At one point, she had one subway, and now she's going to build 10 subways. She's already at 3. She's hitting her goals. And I challenged her yesterday. I said, look, we're halfway through the year, Mel. Can we get to 10 by the end of the year? And she said, yes. Let's give Melanie a round of applause. And she said, but I don't know that I want to manage people. And I told her, that's great, because Steve loves managing people. He loves people. And Christine is very good at coaching managers to coach people. She worked at Starbucks, and she built a lot of their training programs for the management. And I bet you they would put something together. And here's what Melanie said. This is how great our team is. Yeah, they're already working on something like that for me. Hands to the camera if you know that a business can run without you. It can run better than you think it can run if you allow the right people into it. If you allow the right people to come in and support you. Receive. Do you know how hard it is for me not to run every single training each week? It's like, at first it was so emotional. Like, this was my baby. I wanted to be the one who spoke everything and said everything. But I wasn't able to hit my goal of bringing in 100 millionaires by just doing those events. I needed to create better content. I need to go and learn the process. In fact, I'm hiring a coach this week, a very expensive coach, who's going to teach me how to create my message so that everybody who sees it says, I want in on that. Hands to the camera if you know there's still ways for you to increase your skills. And sometimes it makes sense just to pay to fast forward the process. What's really cool is this is the person who changed my life in 2015. That very coach who I was sitting in the room, sweating, scared, not thinking I belonged in the room, it's sitting in the chair, sneaking into an event called the Millionaire Mind Intensive, thinking that they would know that I don't belong there. A person who's earning $17,000 a year, who just went through a divorce and has $25,000 in credit card debt and was considering suicide just a few weeks earlier. I definitely didn't belong in a room where everybody was looking to be millionaires. And he looked at me. There was 400 of us, but in my head, he looked at me and he said, you can be successful. You can be a millionaire. Even if you don't believe it right now, he said, I believe in you. and it's possible for you. And I went up to him afterwards. Everybody else was going for lunch, and I went and I waited in line to talk to him. I got up to this bald gentleman, and I said, Dennis, I heard what you said up there, and I just want you to know, because he also said 10% of you will take what I said seriously and implement it. 5% of you will actually become millionaires. The other 95% of you, not going to take action on this. 90% of you won't take action at all. 5% of you will take some action. And the other 5% of you will take action, become millionaires. And 1% of you will be up on the stage one day helping other people. And I told him, I said, Dennis, I'm one of those 1%. I'm going to do it. I promise. I made a commitment to him. And he shook my hand. He said, I believe you will. And that was enough to change my life. Sometimes it just takes somebody believing in you. Sometimes for somebody else to be successful, it just takes you believing in them. Does that make sense? Excellent. So I want you to write this down. In order for me to become 10 times wealthier, I have to build other people. I have to aim to see in other people 10 times their current potential. I have to see what they can't see. 10 times more. Every human being has a capacity to increase by 10 times in everything. More love, more friendship, more communication skills, more talents. I've watched my brother be able to backflip like a fool. In fact, I was the first to be able to backflip in our family. And now my brother can backflip while twisting, going sideways, pick up a drink in the middle of the flip, and then kick something halfway through and still land on both feet, or land on his hands if he decides that's the direction he's going in. Has anybody seen my brother in parkour or his Ninja Warrior trainings at AMP Academy? Go to AMP Academy on Instagram. Go to @AMP Academy on Instagram and just watch some of my brother's videos. It's absolutely nuts. Or I think type in Joshua Polvu on Instagram, something like that, or Joshua Morel. And this kid who just closed $1 million building physically has 10x his life as well. He's certainly 10x his net worth. And I told him yesterday, I said, by the way, after you close on those keys, like right now, you're worth about $250,000. You close on that building, you're worth about $1 million, right around $1 million. Within the next 6 months to a year, once you finish all the work you're doing, you'll be a millionaire. And he said, that doesn't help with my nerves right now. But it was a cool idea to recognize that within 6 months of deciding to go and buy a big piece of real estate, to close on a piece of real estate, and then another 6 months to stabilize the property and improve rents, you can 10x your net worth. Well, he 4x his net worth. Is that okay? If you just 4x his net worth in 1 year, we'll give him credit. No big deal. No special treatment there. Believe in people. See in others more than they see in themselves, and they will be attracted to you, because very few people in their lives have believed in them. Look at children. Look at your children if you have kids. Your children love you to death because you believed in them their entire lives. And some of you have parents you don't love, and it's probably because they didn't believe in you. Hands to the camera if you've seen this. You've seen this in other people, maybe. Yes. Yes, I get it. I've seen it. It works. I believe in each one of you. I see your potential. We've had conversations. I've said you're capable of this, and you said, I don't know. That's okay. Trust me. I know what you're capable of. I know what a human being is capable of in a short period of time. I'm living proof. Somebody who couldn't speak suddenly running a community with over 100 members in it. Every week we get together 7 times. 7 times. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of speaking. So I know that you can build that muscle, but it starts with setting the goal. An unrealistic goal. It doesn't have to be realistic. This is not a time for realism. You can spend the rest of your life being realistic. Realistically optimistic. I just heard that phrase from T. Harv Eker in his book, what is it? Secrets of the Millionaire Mind in Turbulent Times, which thanks to Doug McGurk presenting that one to us. Let's give Doug a round of applause. You didn't? That wasn't you?
No, I sent you the audio of the original MMI.
I think it was Steve.
Who was it?
I think it was Steve Love.
Steve Love. Excellent. So Steve Love, another member of our community on the West Coast. So he's not waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning to jump on these calls.
Oh, Joshua is. He's
Josh
there.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Josh is a badass. Tara Wader's a badass. That's right. 10X, man. Let's give everybody who's on the call every single week a round of applause. You are powerful men and women who are looking to take your business to the next level. And the 10X rule is the easiest way to start with that goal. Mike Shine, can you deliver some knowledge on Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule, and how we can apply it to our business?
Sure. Here, Walter, the book is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Grant went to college and thought it was a waste of money because they didn't teach him this type of stuff. He admits he's not the smartest guy in the room, and he's very simple about his lessons. But the great thing about the 10X rule is if you just 10 times your action on whatever your goal is, you will get there. And he even says, even if you fail and you only 5X your goal, that's still a victory. So it's a book that's really inspiring. It says you don't have to be super brilliant rocket scientist to make it all happen. It's just go out and get it. And anytime you're doing action, 10X your goal, like you were saying, Walter, and just and it'll lead to much better things. And you can think about it. You know, you get lots of people who have analysis paralysis, and they and so he's just saying, just act. And we say a lot in the Alchemist community, act and course correct. And that's really what he's saying. Just act. And if you make a mistake, course correct and keep going. But the key is the action. Don't sit there and look at numbers, and then don't do anything. So that is the book. It's so inspiring. He's awesome to listen to. I own the book, and I also listen to it on Audible. Grant will get you all amped up every single day. And as we all say all the time, 10X. Thank you.
10X.
10X.
Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause. I love the book reviews each week. The 52 Weeks to Wealth come with 52 books that you can associate so you can better understand each one of the wealth principles. The 52 books are non-negotiable if you've been in the mentorship. If you are a graduate of the mentorship, they're non-negotiable. This is part of the process. We started you with the 5 foundational books and we're moving you along. Don't worry. You don't have to keep up with me and Mike reading 2-3 books a week. You don't have to keep up with me and Mike reading 1 book a week. But if you do, you'll be able to keep up with me and Mike. Does that make sense? There's a place up here full of opportunity. Right up here, you have the space in between your skull. There's a brain, and that brain is full of neurons that can take in information and process it and twist it so it can become useful to you in your life. Every single wealth principle, every single book, every single lesson, every single one of these calls is a tool. It's an opportunity. It could be the spark that brings in the $1 million idea. It could be the spark of motivation that gets you to the next level. By the way, I cannot motivate an unmotivated person. I can only inspire motivated people, which is why I no longer attempt to motivate. I only look for motivated people. Hands to the camp if you know you're motivated to be more successful this year in 2021. Excellent. So then I'll share with you my strategy to help people become more successful. If you've been through the mentorship and you feel like you could take more action, if you feel like you could use, let's say, a booster shot, Darina has suggested that anybody who's been through the mentorship gets a discount on signing up for the mentorship for round 2. If you went through the mentorship 8 months ago, a year ago, and you found yourself becoming a little sluggish, or you feel like you could use that booster shot, have a conversation with Darina. You already have her number. You already have her contact information. She'll be offering the booster shot to anybody who's been through the mentorship, which is essentially the mentorship at a discounted price. The only thing different is you won't be reading the same books. Hands to the camera if that's okay. And by the way, if you decide to take the booster shot and you do read the same books, that's okay too. I read those books every single year, sometimes multiple times a year. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind every single month. Science of Getting Rich every single week. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, I read it quarterly. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read that like annually. It's and I read that one just to remember where you're coming from. I read that one to remember where you're coming from before you came into this event, before you came into this training program, this company. Because before this community, things like, get more debt would seem crazy to you. Things like before Rich Dad, Poor Dad. By the way, hands to the camera if you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And most people, that's the last book they read. They read that one and then they're like, okay, I'm ready to be successful. Some of them will read Richest Man in Babylon. Some will read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. But to get them to Secrets of the Millionaire Mind or Science of Getting Rich, those two books are usually where everybody stopped. Most people, when they come to this community, have 5 to 15 books under their belt. Hands to the camera if you've read over 20 books. Success, real estate, personal development. Excellent. Hands to the camera if you've read over 30. And I'll do this for the coaches. Over 100? Excellent. Over 200? Yeah, my people. 300. Who's got me? Maybe, right? Maybe. Let's give the coaches a round of applause. Let's give you a round of applause. You're on your way. You're catching up. Now remember, knowledge without action is useless. Knowledge without action is useless. So I want you to write down, what are you going to take action on this week to move you towards your 10X goal? Write it down. What one thing, such that by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary. For Melanie, it's a call with me on Tuesday at 10 a.m. with Steve, because we're going to put a really good plan together. For some of you, it may be having a call with Dr. Terry Wager. For some of you, it may be signing up for the mentorship. And if you do want to sign up for the mentorship, have a call with Dorina. Dorina, can you drop your chat, your Calendly in the chat? If somebody wants to sign up for the mentorship, I want them to talk to you first. Make sure it's the right thing for them. The last thing I want is to bring in somebody who's not motivated. The last thing that I want is to bring somebody who doesn't believe in themselves and doesn't want more. If you don't want to be a millionaire, I don't want you in the mentorship. Hands to the camera if that's okay. Yes, I'm super polarizing. I'm okay with it. At this point, I only have time for millionaires. There are other coaches who will take people who just want to make $100,000 a year, which, by the way, I'll teach you how to make $100,000 a year and show you that that's not enough. Hands to the camera if you know that's true. Yes. Look, the hundo, it's a nice starting point. It's a nice beginning place, but it's definitely not enough. If you want to have a fun life, you want to have an impactful life and help more people, you're going to need more than 100,000. By the way, you can't retire on 100,000. Like, it's just really, really hard to live off of $100,000. Does that make sense? Like, investing 100,000 and trying to live off of it, not possible. Just not possible. You'd have to be asking for unrealistic returns from that money. Unrealistic. And Brian McDermott, what happens when you ask for unrealistic returns from money?
You lose the money.
That's right. Let's give Ryan McDermott a round of applause. I want to open it up to the coaches. By the way, hands to the camera if this has been a powerful lesson for you, a valuable lesson. You have a takeaway from this. Excellent. Excellent. We'll start with Ryan McDermott. What is your piece of advice on applying the 10X rule to a person's business or finances?
Yeah. So, I mean, just the 10X rule, as I kind of think about it in, and I guess how I've experienced it is really when I came into the mentorship, the surprising thing that I came in, I was expecting to, drop everything and go into real estate. But the first thing, Walter told me to do was to focus on my business and to 10X my business. And that became very quick, very evident that the best way to do that is to learn how to speak on stages and to go out and speak in front of many people instead of just one-on-one, and working people back in that way. And I am very nervous about public speaking. I'm not comfortable doing it. It's not a natural thing for me. I don't know if it's natural for anybody, but it's definitely not natural for me. And but that was what we had to do to be able to grow the business and to 10X the business. And tomorrow, actually tomorrow, I'll be speaking on Walter's stage in his 2-day boot camp to really sort of make the first step towards that. And what I've found is I'm not nervous because all over the last year, I've had an opportunity to speak every Saturday morning. And Walter has sort of Mr. Miyagi'd me into sort of feeling comfortable speaking in front of groups of people. And anyway, that's, kind of, 10x your goals. Sometimes you have to do things that are uncomfortable. But there is a way to do it. So just keep focused. Thanks.
Let's give Ryan McDermott a round of applause. His last words are always his most powerful ones. Just keep focused. Just keep focused. And his story about not being comfortable with speaking, but using this mentorship as a way to get comfortable, that's the secret. That's what we talked about last week with the book, The Outliers, the 10,000 hours. Sometimes just showing up and practicing in an easy way makes it easier. Ryan now does Facebook Lives. He just jumps on Facebook Live and he crushes it because he got comfortable with his face on camera. Hands to the camera if you recognize it won't be easy at first. T. Harv's known for saying every master was once a disaster. I'm living proof, right? Every master was once a disaster. I still make mistakes. In fact, I think I did a webinar the other day where I was talking about how millionaires aren't perfect. And right on the slide I was talking about it, I had 2 words pushed together with no space in between on the slide, on the PowerPoint. So a perfect example of like, none of us are perfect. You don't need to be perfect to make $1 million. Hands to the camera if that's comforting. Yeah, you could probably do it just the way you are. No big deal. Doug McGurk, you're up.
Right on. Well, a quick thing about Think and Grow Rich. Tony Robbins, my mentor, shared this story where he was first starting out, and he was, one of his things, and what he instilled upon me is surround yourself with people who their normal is what you aspire to, which is why being part of the mentorship and so forth is so important, because it raises your quality. And then when you invest even more into yourself with getting on board with Terry and Christine and myself, like you're surrounding yourself consistently with high level thinkers. But he was with this, I don't think he was a billionaire at the time, but a multimillionaire who Tony was modeling. And the guy says, well, you got to read Think and Grow Rich. And Tony goes, oh, yeah, I've read it. And he goes, yeah, how many times? And the power of that is wherever we are right now, we've got to 10x our experience and go back and hit the fundamentals, because when we have a new level of experience, we're going to have a new experience with our relationship with what we've learned, what we've accomplished. And you'll find that some of the things that you read in the past, go, I can't believe I didn't get that. Oh my gosh. How many of you have looked back and you go, oh, that's what that meant. Oh boy, wish I had done that, right? And so by putting yourself in the environment, you really get your 10x your experience by 10xing your investment in yourself. And then the last thing I want you to think about, I read with my ears as well, but there's one of the commitments I'm making is reading the actual book, because there's a kind of meditation that happens when you do that. When we read with our ears, we multitask. We can't, I don't care who you are. The reason why we're reading with our ears is because we're doing something else and we want to be able to do multiple things. What I've noticed in my life is where I get the best results is when I'm 10xing my focus. And when I'm, to Ryan's point, when I'm really able to dig in, and I'm noticing that when I do that, everything seems to flow even better. So my parting tip is, 10x your internal focus. Really, that's why it's called Think and Grow Rich. We need to think more. And I don't mean not take action. It's just sometimes we just get lost in taking action. We think, oh, activity, and we're not always doing the best opportunities, which is why the coaching is so important to help focus your activity. And that's all I have to say about that.
Let's give Doug McGurk a round of applause. Excellent advice. Let's see. Mike Shine, you're up.
Cool. All right. So thanks, Walter. I loved when you said you are the strongest link and you are the weakest link in your business. This is something I wrestle with because I've started my title business with just me doing 10 titles a month. And you always, you effort to take yourself out of the business, but then you think that you're Superman and you've got to come in and save Lois Lane, and every time you do it. So that was impactful for me. Constantly thinking about E-Myth and removing myself from my business. And that's one of my goals, since we were talking about goals. Number two, we talked about even if you're imperfect. I think 5 or 6 times Walter said he wasn't perfect today. And it's all about just take action. And that dovetails in a great way with 10X, because Grant says the same thing. He says he's not perfect, but he keeps taking action. So when you go out there, don't worry about making mistakes. Really what ends up happening when they talk to elderly people is they have regret. They don't sit there and say they made mistakes. They regret that they didn't take any action. So go out and take the actions. And finally, just what Doug was saying, I am constantly immersing myself in all of this positivity. When I go mountain biking, I have my headphones on and I'm listening to T. Harv Eker. When we go to bed, Brenda and I are reading books. I'm on these calls all the time. So if you have this sort of immersion, just like when you learn a new language, you're constantly being inundated with these type of messages, it raises your level, you know? And also with that is the coaches. I hang around with all these guys all the time. So get yourself in a group of people, get the Audible going, get the books going, and there'll be no time for negativity, and there'll be no time for hearing broke stories, for example. So that's my takeaway for this week. Thank you very much.
Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause.
Peace.
All great tips. All great tips. And Darina, so I do not forget, I want to bring you up. What is your suggestion or takeaway from applying the 10X rule to your planning?
Right, thank you. I'd say without community, I wouldn't be 10Xing, because I used to be that person like, oh, I'm afraid what people are gonna think. So I didn't want to people think that at that time I was surrounding myself that I'm nuts, so I'm crazy and I want to become a billionaire. And after I immersed myself into mentorship and this community, I'm like, how can I not 10X? Like, I've got to 10X. Everybody's 10Xing that. I'm going to keep up. And it's so true. Like, example, you guys know I love horses. I didn't come into the barn 5 months ago saying, I'm just going to take lessons. I'm like, I'm going to 10X it. I'm going to do a show, which I've never done in my life. I'm going to do a show. And that was my 10X at that time. And I did it. And it's amazing. And if I wouldn't think about it, I would never achieve it. And now applying to business, we are looking to host a 3-day event in October. Like, let's do 500 people, maybe 1,000 people. How about we go after 10,000 people, right? It may not happen this October, but it will happen eventually. And so without this amazing community of now we're reaching 500 people, I'm looking at how many people went through these calls. I wouldn't be able to step out of my normal thinking into bigger thinking, focusing on bigger goals. And then even if you get there halfway, it's more than you could possibly think you could achieve, because everybody around you will lift you up, will support you, and will check on you weekly. How are you doing? So that's my biggest takeaway. Stick with us, and then we'll go to the moon. To the moon! Boom.
This is what Darina's learned from crypto. Everything is now to the moon. Let's give Darina a round of applause. She's an amazing woman. She's helped our community grow so much, and she's a super supportive spouse. Last night I slept about an hour, and that hour started around 7 o'clock this morning. And she came in and she woke me up, and she's like, hey, by the way, we got to go do this call in about 3 minutes. And I just looked at her and I said, thank you so much for waking me up. And I would not have made this call if it wasn't for her. And I would not have been prepared for today, this lesson that we're going to be teaching today, if it wasn't for her understanding that sometimes I do everything last minute and I stay up till 7 o'clock in the morning to get things done. Hands to the camera, if you know, a supportive spouse is really key to your success. And it just makes life a whole lot more fun. It really does. Speaking of, Dr. Terry Wager and Christine McGinley, what is your takeaway from applying the 10X rule? And how does it tie into the bullet train of action?
Go right ahead, Terry. You got it there.
I just told her to go first, so she made me. 10X your goals is super important. And one of the things that we always talk about is 10X. And the idea of what we're looking at is quit taking your own bad advice. We're always going to come up with a goal that's small. We're always going to come up with something that's something that is doable. And so if you've already hit your goal for this year, you made it too small. You want to 10X your goal. You want to move forward. You want to grow. And the only way to do that is to scare yourself with those goals. 10Xing is one way to do it. One of the things that Christine and I talk about whenever we're working with anybody is, what's your exit plan? Not just 10X, but where do you really want to end? Can you see the end? Do you want to actually just stop there? Do you want to go further? You might not be able to even envision it. It's so big. But how do you put it together to move forward so powerfully on that bullet train? And when you start talking about the idea of 10X, that's just trying to expand your mind. But the reality is the future is unknown. So you don't know how much you can do. You don't know how much things are going to get in the way. And so 10X, when Grant Cardone is talking about that, it's 10X your action, 10X your people, 10X your investment, 10X the problems, because the problems are opportunities. It's going to take 10X of what time you thought it's going to take. No matter what's going on, you got to think 10X on everything and then develop those plans to move forward powerfully through it. Because when you do that, you're going to explode everything. And 10X is kind of more interesting than the idea of exploding. And so, the idea is, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're doing it, you want to think a million, you want to think 10 million, you want to think 10X of whatever you're thinking. And you put the plan together step by step, and you're going to stay in action until you start seeing where you don't have to be there anymore. And so when we're working with our people, putting in the automation in their businesses, it's really, you're going to 10X your time in it until you don't need to be there anymore. You're going to wake up one day and go, shit, I've put everybody in place. Now I'm going to go take a vacation. Christine?
Hell yeah. Vacation time. Let's get it. Let's give Dr. Terry Wager a round of applause. Christine McGinley, you are up.
I like vacations. I think that comes down to, like, Terry just covered like 5 different places of the 10X. 10X is a bit of energy, a little extra energy, the hustle. You've talked about hustle. It's the hustle at the beginning to put it in place, to walk away, and to know the pieces are going to run the smooth way that you anticipated them. Whether you're reading E-Myth or you're buying more Subways or writing more books, it's about putting the energy up front so you can walk away and you mentioned doing the piece in your business that you really like. Put yourself on the board of directors. Be that advisor, because you've been there, you've experienced it, and you know the pieces of the puzzle and how to put them together, but have somebody else put the puzzle together. Keep it together.
Let's give Christine McGinley a round of applause. For those of you who don't know, when you sign up for the mentorship, you get access to these coaches. 8 millionaires telling you what to do, how to do it, and where to go. Oh my goodness. All right. So the next one has a cool shirt now. Mitch Jorsky, because I picked on you, you get to go last. Normally I say this to Mike, but saving the best for last, brother. You've made me and Mike a lot of money this year. So Mitch, you're up.
When you get that knock on your door and it's the delivery knock, like it's just that knock and go, you can tell. I'm like, who the hell, what? I didn't order anything. What's going on? Talk about the most perfect timing. So I ran down, because I knew Terry would be dropping knowledge for like a good 30 minutes because over delivering, that's what he does. And then I open up the box and I was like, wait, what? That is epic. Thank you, whoever sent me the surprise mystery gift. The tall the hat, the cool the cat. I got a new t-shirt. I have no idea who sent it. Someone that was at Missions to Millions because it was from Universal. So I have it narrowed down to 15 people.
It's Kim Harvey.
We got
It
a
probably
10x
was
that
Kim
list.
Harvey.
There it is.
Yay! Came just in time.
Yay, Kim Harvey. Thank you so much. This is epic. So fitting.
Perfect. Does it fit?
I'm
I'm in
sure
the
it's a
car, I
large.
can't
I think
really
it'll
see.
fit. It's nice and long. It's super long. Look at this. The whole
Yeah.
screen.
I can't help myself. I want to say
That was
that's
kind
what
of
she
a
said.
it was a group effort. Me, Christine, Terry.
You guys
I saw
rock.
it. It was awesome.
I love it. This is
Thank
money.
you. We got our t-shirts too, Kim. Thank you. The
Yay.
bald guy, the girl with the bald
The
guy.
sexy ball guy.
It was like Universal was calling us that had t-shirts for everyone, and that was just perfect.
Awesome.
Mitch, your takeaway on the 10x rule.
Sorry, I was distracted by awesome t-shirts. 10x rule, yeah.
Let's give Kim Harvey a round of applause. She's a great part of our community and a member of South Coast, one of my partners. Mitch Jorsky, you're up.
So, yeah, Doug and Terry and Darina and Ryan and Mike and everyone already crushed it. So let's talk about the feeling of 10x awesome events that Walter and Darina have been putting together. Because I don't know about you guys, there's so many awesome events coming up. Earlier on, I wasn't even sure which event he was talking about at which time. So the first thing I want to know is who is going to be around this weekend doing the real estate cash flow event. Hands to the camera if you're coming this weekend, aka in an hour from now and then all day tomorrow. Yes. If you're not, and you're not completely Grant Cardone in real estate, then you should probably come and join us. If you're Grant Cardone, you can probably skip it. So yeah.
buildmillionaires.com.
Yeah, drop the link in the chat. We'll be doing our thing. Rumor has it I'll be speaking tomorrow as well. So occasionally I stumble into dropping knowledge on you guys. It's happy accidents, I call them. But yeah, 10X is about, having goals, because the problem is when you hit goals and you don't have any more goals, then you're kind of directionless. And I speak from experience because I've hit some goals and I didn't create new ones. And it's kind of like, I'm still making progress, but it's like, where exactly am I going? So I need to do one of those goal setting days myself. So that's my big takeaway from the 10X thing is it's just a mantra, so to speak, to help you continually set goals and then make sure you push the envelope on those goals, instead of setting what could be layups that you're like, oh yeah, I can do this. Like, no, screw that. Set the goals that you think you can't get to, right? And then as the saying always goes, shoot for the moon if you land on the stars, right? So all the cliche mantras and sayings, use them all, right? But that's that's the pretty simple takeaway in my opinion.
Let's give Mitch Jorsky a round of applause. He wrote the book, Scaredy Cat Guide to Real Estate Investing. He knows a thing or two, and so I was able to convince him to jump on for one of our sections tomorrow on how to evaluate deals through using his Scaredy Cat calculator, which is on his website and free to anybody who's a member. And guess what? It's free to everybody because Mitch is a giver, and he gives everything away sometimes, except for his crypto course, which he does charge for. And
Yes.
I'll also have Ryan McDermott Ryan will be speaking tomorrow at 12. And I believe, Mitch, are you 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock?
I am not sure, but I will be there all day tomorrow. So
these guys will be talking about how to evaluate deals. Ryan will be talking about how real estate can build your wealth. And it comes from a very, very knowledgeable place of expertise. I've watched his slideshow and his PowerPoint for this presentation, and I was absolutely blown away. Ryan has become an amazing speaker. Mitch Jorsky is extremely knowledgeable. So on day 2, we're going to be talking about how to get the deals, how to analyze the deals. On day 1, because I know what's most important to you. We're going to be talking about how to bring in the money, how to get the money to do any deal possible. Any deal that you find, we're going to talk about the money. Guess what? It's a lot of this stuff. So I'll be using NLP the entire time so you can remember the process. We're going to be doing active learning so it stays with you, because the problem with this lesson, this training, is I've taught you all of this before and it hasn't stuck and the confidence hasn't stayed. And so what I've built today is a way for it to stay in your brain so you can raise capital effortlessly. Hands to the camera if you know you basically want to be hypnotized to raise capital. Yes, that's essentially what today is going to be about, starting at 12 p.m. So make sure that you bring food. I'm going to be driving over to Taco Bell to grab my favorite Supreme burrito with 2 soft tacos. And then I'll be coming back to get myself prepared and ready for this. You have about 45 minutes to go and get yourself some food. Be prepared with snacks for later. I am not known for taking breaks once I get started. Hands to the camera if that's okay. If you understand, there's a lot of content, a lot of information, and I'd like to spend the rest of my night relaxing with Dorina. And so I said, I'm just going to push through as hard as I possibly can. As long as you can keep walking, I will keep pushing. Hands to the camera if you know you can keep that pen moving. You can take the best notes. Yes. And everything will be recorded in Alchemist University. So if you signed up for the course, then I've attached in on our website, anybody who signed up for today's training, this weekend's training, you'll automatically be getting sent that link. So once we do upload everything, go back and review it. I will be recording very differently from the past. Everything I'm teaching will be in shorter clips so that it'll be a lot easier to consume. In the past, I just do 30 minutes, hour-long segments, and it's kind of hard to find the information that you're looking for. Hands to the camera if you know you want it to be more concise, a little easier to find. Yes. So I'll be recording while we're doing this training. So if you do miss it, fear not, I got your back. If you paid for it, I'm going to take care of you one way or the other. If you haven't paid for it, I don't know what's stopping you. Multifamily has made me a multi-millionaire. I own $10 million worth of real estate. Ron and I were talking, we bring in $40,000 a month in rents. We're about to increase that in January to $55,000 a month in rents, which, by the way, and that's not with any acquisitions, that's just fixing a couple of things in our buildings. This is the best way to make money. It really is. If you want to make money over the long term and be consistent and make a lot of wealth for yourself, flipping is temporary, wholesaling is temporary, agency is temporary. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep doing it. Owning multifamily rentals is the only investment that will eventually lead you to passive income. By the way, the multifamilies are not passive, but they're what allows you that big capital appreciation to take your money and invest it into passive investments. Hands to the camera if you recognize at some point you want to be the bank, because they make all the money. Yes, that's why I teach the Friday course, Be the Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, I do have an ask. Since you're still on, that means you have gained some value. Hands to the camera if you've gained some value today. Thinking about coming to today's course, this weekend course, thinking, damn, like, how do I do it? ibuildmillionaires.com/passive. I've got to ask for you, though, since you care about me, and I appreciate you for that. I want to build 100 millionaires this year. I didn't make the cup of the shirts for no reason. This is truly my goal. My ambition is to help build 100 millionaires, inspire 100 people to become millionaires who will go out and inspire another 100 millionaires of their own and share and give that commitment and that education, that knowledge and that lesson. And I don't mind if you charge. I charge for my courses. I don't mind. I just want you to go out and build millionaires. And unfortunately, there's only 54 people on this call right now. So even if all of you did it, that wouldn't hit my goal. Hands to the camera if you recognize that's true. So my ask for you is, if you know an influencer or multiple influencers, people who are teaching money, talking about money, but they don't necessarily have a training course or a coaching program. They don't have a way to go and teach or make money beyond just they're really good at grabbing influence, or if they're real estate agents or they're lenders and they're in communication with a lot of people who want to buy real estate and they work with them, but maybe don't have that time to go and teach and coach and mentor them to get across the finish line. Please have them reach out to Dorina. I'd like to get Dorina connected with those people. I like to make them some money. So in our affiliate program, we pay $350 for everybody who signs up for the mentorship. So I can send your friends or those contacts you have a very good paycheck. You send 10 people, that's $3,500. You send 100 people, that's $35,000 at the end of the year. It's an extra, if you're already got influence and you're already building an audience, it's easy money. Hands to the camera if you recognize that's true. For somebody who already has an audience and doesn't know how to monetize it, I can help them with that process. And it helps me with my goal of building 100 millionaires. Understand, this is a team sport. Each one of you plays a role. Whether you know it or not, you may not think you know somebody right now, but if a week from now or 2 weeks from now or a month from now, something crosses your mind, a text, a message, an email, I'm all ears, looking to build the team of people who can build the team. Hands to the camera if you recognize it's a simple ask, but it would be huge if you can think of somebody. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate your commitment to yourself and your success and your family and your community. Without you, the legacy that you are building would not exist. Without you, the massive impact that you're going to have on other people's lives would not exist. Make sure that you go out there, and if you can do one thing for me aside from my personal ask, I want you to smile to somebody today. Give them a smile that says you believe in them 10 times more than they know. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. Always work with the best.
Work with the best.
The best, the best, the best.
See you in about 45 minutes. Enjoy your lunch.